Hello, I'm Leslie Banks for galsguide.com. Today I'm talking with Christine Benz, Director of Personal Finance for Morningstar and the author of 30-Minute Money Solutions, a step-by-step guide to managing your finances. Welcome, Christine.
Leslie, great to be here.
Today we're going to talk about finances and ways to think about your money. There's so much to think about. It can be overwhelming, especially when you're just out of college and you're getting started. What would you recommend as a first step to our Gals Guide readers?
One thing would be, Leslie, to get educated. So say you have a liberal arts background, you don't know anything about this stuff. Do some reading up on financial matters. And so certainly there are a lot of great books out there on the bookshelf at Borders or wherever you shop. But there are also a lot of great online tools. So in terms of budgeting and figuring out just how to make your cash flows work out from month to month, there are lots of great online tools available, free tools, some of them. So those would be a good starting point. Then in terms of educational resources, Morningstar.com obviously has a lot of great tools. We have one particular tool called Investing Classroom, and that's a free tool that really takes you through the basics if you are up for learning. So it starts with what is a stock, what is a bond, and then progresses to more sophisticated topics. So I think that's a good resource. There are a lot of free tools out there. And also I do like some of the glossy magazines that are available. So Kiplinger's, for example, and kiplingers.com also has lots of great tools.
And how do you prevent yourself from getting overwhelmed? You know, you're reading information, you're starting to get educated, and you're starting to feel like, gosh, do I need to be online every day? Do I need to be trading? Do I need to be monitoring my investments? How do you balance being informed and educated versus being overwhelmed and kind of getting away from your financial goals?
I think it's a great question, and that's kind of a newbie mistake that I see a lot. So people steep themselves in financial information, and then they begin to think that, gosh, I should be monitoring the market's day-to-day activity, or worse yet, the market's hour-by-hour activity. So they get too engaged, and they adopt this trading mentality, which ultimately for most people is not going to be a productive way to invest or build wealth. My personal view, and certainly the view that I espouse in my book, is to be pretty hands-off. So come up with a semi-sensible stock, bond, cash mix. And for young women, I would say you probably want to have most of your long-term money in stocks. So come up with that plan, and then plan to be pretty hands-off about it. Make changes only on a very infrequent basis. Maybe check in once a year to see if anything crazy is happening. Otherwise, don't plan to be jockeying about making changes. That's a recipe for bad investment results.
Okay. And what about getting organized? How do you recommend that you get all these 401k statements, you get your insurance statements, your bank statements? How do you keep all of that organized without, again, feeling like you're just managing piles of paper?
That's another great question. I'm a big fan of moving more and more of your financial matters online to the extent that you're comfortable with doing so. You also want to spend a little time kind of stress testing the systems of the financial providers that you're going to rely on. So see how good their record keeping is, see what sorts of tools they make available to you as an online user. But by cutting down the paperwork, one of the key positive byproducts is that you reduce your vulnerability to identity theft quite a bit. So if you have less paperwork flowing through the mail, that makes you less of a target. Fewer people can get their hands on your information. So I'm a big fan of moving things online, setting up a basic filing system, knowing the things that are important to save and what you can safely throw out. And I generally say, certainly any government documents, anything that you could think, this would probably be a hard thing to replace if I needed to. Those are the things to hang on to, either in some safe place in your home or apartment, ideally in some kind of a fireproof box, or else in a safety deposit box at a bank.
More online documents means less to shred. So
that's right.
Always a good
and get
advantage.
A good shredder too, cross-cut shredder.
Okay. And what about budgeting? One of the aspects of your book and the tools I found valuable was just the different checklists and the budgeting tools. Can you talk a little bit about how to set up a budget and maybe the things that you should prioritize?
It's something that every young person grapples with. And there again, there are lots of great online tools for budgeting, but you don't have to be that sophisticated about it. You can simply begin by tracking what you're spending currently. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong with budgeting. They don't anchor it in their actual spending patterns. So they come up with a budget, they put it in a drawer, it was never realistic for them. The key first step of budgeting is actually seeing what you're spending your money on, and then taking a step back and thinking about how your current spending patterns square with your priorities. Okay. So if you see a disconnect there, you may be able to cut back on that spending that doesn't dovetail with your long-term priorities.
Well, thanks for talking with me today, Christine. I thought there was a lot of helpful information, and hopefully women today will get started on prioritizing, learning how to budget, and also managing, just organizing all the information.
Thanks for all the great questions, Leslie.
Okay. I'm Leslie Banks for galsguide.com. Thanks for watching.